I looked over there as if there was a camera.
Hello, everyone.
Well, hey there, I'm Caleb. Welcome to
we're on YouTube now.
Welcome to Enhance Don't Distract. Yeah, we're on YouTube.
We just didn't cut to it.
Great.
We're not cutting to that camera today, Caleb.
Wrong camera. I am here with. Let's start over.
I think you're doing
we're in
great.
it now.
I think you got this thing down.
In this episode, we're going to talk about two topics that work together: church apps and websites, and how to handle that guy in your church, whatever that means. I'm joined by Eric and Justin.
Nope, Eric's not here.
Oh, dang it.
Don't read the notes.
Show notes.
Eric was supposed to be here.
Hey, do you wanna host real quick? He says. Let's go ahead and just what's your name?
Maybe if we put an Apple AirTag on that, you could find it.
Sorry. See, this is the very reason why.
Are we going to introduce ourselves? That's the easiest way.
Yeah, I'm on this side of the room now, so let's go ahead. Camera's on you guys.
Right. Oh.
Hi.
What's my name?
Swan.
Yeah, what's your name?
My name is Swan.
We need name plates.
Sean.
Name tags.
Hi, my name is.
Hi, my name is Sean.
Hi, my name is Justin.
Great, thank you.
And I'm Jordan.
And that's Jordan. Thank you.
No, Eric.
Now that we've cleared that
This
up.
is Caleb.
Eric, and I'm Caleb, and I said that at the beginning.
Eric is actually running the camera over here. Off screen.
The ones we don't cut to.
Yeah.
That's not a knock on his ability.
Right.
It's a knock on those cameras not being actually there.
Yeah.
They're just not hooked up to anything. So hey, how are you guys? How's everybody doing? Doing all right?
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm having a great time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, let's just jump in. So I want to start with some follow up, almost like a response to another podcast. The Pro Church Tools show. This is long.
We got to be careful. We might turn into like the Pro Church Tools like podcast review podcast because like
It's true. It's true.
TPCTS and a recent episode that they did on church apps and why they are the worst. Brady talks about his theory. We're going to listen to that here for a second on apps that are kind of provided by places like Planning Center or a service that our church uses, Subsplash, where they kind of help you build a website and an app and kind of just get everything all into one place. Your giving, your people, to get all your communication and stuff. So we're going to listen to this for a second. This is his theory on why church apps are bad, and I just want to talk about a little bit like why I don't agree with that pretty much. So
my thesis for church apps is this. For 99% of churches, an app will be a net negative. Invest in your website instead. Let's talk about why. 3 big reasons today. This is not an exhaustive list of reasons, but it's the 3 that I really want to hammer home in 2023. And the first one has to do with containers. The first thing that you need to know and understand about church apps is that your app will live in a container on the App Store. Tithely's app container is called Church App by Tithely. Planning Centers is called Church Center App. Subsplashes is called the Church App. Pushpays is called My Church by Pushpay. All very similar names for a reason. They want you to be able to discover that app container. Mm-hmm. What this means, though, is that if you get a church app, your app is not going to show up in the App Store. What it will do is live inside of one of these app containers. A user will first have to download the container and then search for your church name alongside every other church in that app containers directory to then find your app. Now, why would we do it this way, Alex? It sounds like a not great experience for the user.
Yeah.
The reason is because in 2017, Apple introduced guideline 4.2.6.
All right, go ahead and pause that. Thank you. So I want to talk about that first thing first. Your app kind of being in a container. Mm-hmm. That's kind of true, but also like I mean, he goes on to talk about why, like, it's like multiple steps to find your church, blah 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 blah. I feel like you could, and something he goes on to talk about later too. I kind of think that's all we need to listen to. Honestly, I'll just bring up the rest of, because you kind of get the gist of where he's going with that. Mm-hmm. That a lot of the arguments he's making in the podcast are like Apple introduced that law that rule in App Store guidelines that talk about like you, basically that container app can't just like serve 4, 5, 6, 7 versions of itself that are, and then say, hey, we're DCC, hey, we're this church, hey, we're this church, and all come from the same corporation, right? Because they don't just want a flood of apps from like the same people. The workaround for that was then like, like our church has a developer account with Apple, and so then our app gets published as our church as opposed to as being published by Subsplash, right?
And does that cost anything?
No, because we are a 501c. So if you're a nonprofit, you just submit that to Apple, and like we paid up front, submitted the first year, and then like we were refunded the money, and then going forward we don't pay.
I'm really curious with the 501c3 thing, because there's a Baptist organization that I've done like work for where they're not even a denomination, they're just like a coalition. And they had the 501c3, and that all of these churches come in underneath of them to piggyback off that so that they don't have to get their own 503c. So like we have our own because our church filed for it. We're not underneath someone else. So I wonder, like, I think there's like 200 or 300 churches in this coalition that all use the coalition's 503c. And I asked a bunch of questions about like, how's the legal ramifications if like one of these churches is using it and they screw up? And the person I was talking to didn't like know enough to like really like understand that. But I'd be curious with that scenario, could they get that free still because it's one 503 that would have to be applied 200 times,
Yep.
Type thought process. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I think that's, something.
That seems kind of like a little bit of a one-off case, but
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just like it popped in my head.
yeah, no, that's cool.
Not that I don't.
No, yeah.
Not that I disagree with you.
No, I was trying to remember where I was going with that.
I would say, to Brady there too, though, like you're doing that usually once. Downloading the app, finding your church based on location, and then from then on, especially, well, at least with my experience with Planning Center's Church Center, it always opens up into your church.
Yeah, and I mean, that was my experience too I kind of looked at, so we have Subsplash, and I'm finally happy with where our website is, and then in tangent, like what goes hand in hand with that is I'm all right with where the app is. What they're talking about here is Subsplash gives you a container, yes, where like maybe my app for DCC looks very, very, very similar to any other church, Saddleback, whoever, that's also using Subsplash as their platform. But like, who cares so what that video is like perfectly square or served up, there's not soft round corners or whatever, like that kind of stuff is being served. My content is still being served in a way that saves me a lot of time as a volun staff kind of person, right, who straddles the line of like paid for some things but still do a lot outside of that.
Staff and tier.
Right, staff and tier, that was the word. And so I guess my pushback on Brady on that is just like, even if our church wasn't able to pay for the tier of Subsplash, which they've restructured since probably the last time he said he never actually called anybody. Right when we signed up, they totally restructured their pricing and made it like way more affordable to include website and app in like almost all their packages, which are, at least for Subsplash.
Do you know what we paid for it?
No, not off the top of my head, but it was like combined between what we were doing because there were some things we were playing for on Planning Center, and then like we didn't really have a great way to give online, that kind of stuff. Like, so some things that we didn't have to continue to pay for.
I think we just had a PayPal account that we had
right,
set up,
exactly, right. So like we didn't like just kind of the tools that were.
It works.
Yeah, it kind of worked, but like so like it
better than nothing.
Right, the price ended up being like really, really great for everything that came with it, and I just
refresh my memory on what he said a little bit, and I don't know if he said it in that part that we listened to. I think he says because he's like all about the central hub,
Right.
Like the website is like the place. Go here, go here. Everything you need to know about our church is here, and I 100% love that idea.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
That can be presented at your info booth. Someone comes up and asks a question. Oh, let's go to the website on this iPad that we have here. Boop.
Yep.
All the information's right there. And that staff person, volunteer, doesn't have to like fumble through. Love that.
Or Unify Connect.
Or Unify Connect. There you go.
Stay tuned.
But
Sorry.
it's so easy to derail us.
I know. I'm so sorry.
I understand the idea if you have to focus so much to get the app working and running.
Right.
But like, I don't really feel like, when I've used Squarespace or Wix and had the mobile versions of those websites, like you have to make a couple of adjustments, but like, it's kind of pulling everything over there for you.
Exactly.
And then you kind of just like look at it and go, oh yeah, make it line, better and whatnot. And then it's like, I don't really do anything. And I get the idea of like, go to the website. You only have to say one thing.
Yep.
I don't think that like our plan is to ever go, we don't need our website. Screw our website. We have an app. Like,
No, because the app is literally just a web wrapper. Like it's the website wrapped in a GUI of like that works on iOS, wrapped in the GUI that'll work on in a framework that'll work on Android. And literally all I'm doing is referencing. I keep forgetting I'm running the cameras. Hello.
it's okay. I can actually edit
Hello.
those switches.
It's just reflecting the website. And I think that was my biggest argument against Brady. One of my biggest arguments against just that I didn't agree with was that I agree with him that your website should be the central source of your information. But when you're given the opportunity to have an app, why not use it? It's just another tool. It's just another way. Some people like me, I would prefer to not have to open Safari, open a new tab and go to dccgr.org. Shouts out to the home church. But
is that an accessibility thing?
Kind of, but more it's just if I want to go watch last week's sermon to just search on my phone, open the DCC app and then go media, blam, there it is. That's faster to me than
Searching
going to the
YouTube.
website, right? Or searching YouTube. But for some people, they want to watch it on YouTube because they've got YouTube on their TV or, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's about getting content to people in multiple ways. Some people think an app is cool and want to use that.
Well,
So
YouTube should be what's feeding your website and your...
Right, exactly.
Well,
it's all in
pro
it should be in parody,
Pro tip.
right?
So, I mean, this is the thing that super sucks about these apps, though, is that with Apple's rules, you can't have YouTube as your embedded player and then have that be in your app because it's technically an app inside of an app, and they don't allow that. So
Church Center can do that.
very easily and super streamlined because that's been a big no-no for ever. That's
Yeah.
why most of them don't do that. Because I'm very anti using embedded players on websites and stuff like that because YouTube is literally on every device.
And why lose half your statistics and your just by not?
Yeah.
So you guys have to do a separate upload then?
Well, so I mean, the way we stream is I send a feed to our website, I send a feed to our YouTube, and I send a feed to our Facebook.
Right.
And so they're all getting a feed from a central location. Subsplash allows you to feed, if you're just running OBS, you can go
simulcast it.
to it, and then it pushes it to Facebook or YouTube. But
Which is really nice.
yeah, I didn't really like it because it kept periodically failing, and then we would lose everything.
Yeah, the reliability on that definitely needs to be improved. I would say that for sure.
Yeah, but and there's this. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I think there's something he
Sounds
says in
like that's a
that.
different topic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, and I think I would really like to look into that whole YouTube thing. Because can you show me the planning center one and how that? Because you're YouTube right now, and
Yep.
you spit that out. I'd really like to see how that works because I've been on the assumption of the YouTube inside of the app has been a big
Well, here's
no-no.
the thing. Just like you were saying, it's not a real app. It's the web page.
Yeah, it's just
wrapped.
wrapped, right?
So you should be able to use whatever you darn well please.
But you go to that the planning center app and then search for your church, though, right?
The first time.
The first time.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I say, so how many steps do you have to go with this? So coming from the marketing side of things,
What?
statistically, you've got 2, 3 at max clicks before. I just said 2, 3 at max clicks before you've lost your audience.
Is that
Okay.
6?
So if you add that up and you divide it by 1 and you numerate the and there's a
23.
there we go, 23. Always the answer. So I'm just curious, like how many clicks are you guys having to go through before you've nailed your church? Hold on, let me rephrase that.
Oh no,
How many swipes to the right do you have to do before you've nailed your church?
that's the camera over there.
That's a different app, Sean.
That's a different. Oh,
That's not a church app.
I downloaded what it said in the church announcements. Must have been a typo.
I mean, so here before we dive into the question you're asking right there, I think that the thing for me is that the majority of people that are going to use this, even with our app, where it's like it's just our church, like you don't have to search for anything. Even the first time, it's like you download it, it's our church, it's our website. Mm-hmm. The people that are going to use that are going to be the hardcore faithful to our church that want to be a part of it and think it's cool. Like,
And that's the point.
Almost
in my
all
opinion.
church app users are either volunteers or staff, and the majority of it is staff.
yeah.
Most attenders don't ever download the app.
One thing I do like about our app is that like when we do go live, I have the option to push a notification.
That is nice.
So like you don't get to subscribe to it like unless you have notifications shut off on your phone.
How dare you?
Which apparently is one. Brady talks about this. Yeah, once you
that
get
is
up to
a-
35 and older, once you get to like the age group of 35 and older, that's like 1 in 20 will turn off notification or will allow notifications, which I don't know. And then he goes on to talk about like, I don't want to hear your phone going off, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, that's not, I get a billion notistifications a day and nobody ever hears my phone go off. Like, that's a different thing. That's just people living their life out
An
loud.
Apple Watch.
Well, still.
No, I will say that is a big advantage for apps, for sure. Is that notification be able to push stuff?
And I would love to see us get off the ground with, and speaking of notifications stuff, like we currently have like our men's group, if there's something that needs to be communicated about, like, hey, we're meeting tonight, but we're venue change or something, that's just a text chain right now.
Yeah.
Right. That you, like, I have been going to this church for 6 years and I'm still not on that text chain somehow.
See it, and I get in certain text chains that I go, I haven't gone to this event in like 3 years. How do I get off of this?
Yeah. And so
Do you guys use PCO?
That's a whole nother question
That's-
for another
Because
podcast.
yeah,
Don't.
we are.
That would
That's a
solve
different
all your
episode.
dang problems
well,
right there.
and so what I'm talking about is like, I would love to see us get on a centralized like messaging system, and Subsplash has that, right? That I could have it's almost like Facebook Messenger, but just for church, right? Like there's a channel just for men's group, women's group.
Yeah, but that's in
High
the
school,
app. So when you
whatever,
have a
but
new
like-
person coming, you'd have to ask them to download this app in order to get any communication.
No, because you can do that on the website too. Like that messaging stuff works on the website as well, which is kind of cool. You can like set it. You have to set up a profile or whatever, but like.
Right, so we're
Right.
still asking for more. So
Right.
so we're still asking.
Right.
To me,
But
it's still
it's still the same
obtrusive
thing. Yeah,
and
I guess.
intrusive.
Yeah, I don't know if I see
And,
the app though as it's not really meant, kind of as Justin said.
Oh man,
We keep doing this.
Well, I had to.
It's
I
that
had to
bad.
move it so
Hand,
that
yeah.
like I could use everything, and then like just kept like.
Because last month you were over here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last month.
Last month, as
Back in February.
like as he was saying, I don't see the app as something that's for new people at all, and I don't see that messaging feature as something that's for new people at all. I see that both of those things as something for someone who is now decided they're like, I'm like, this is my church I'm going to now.
yeah.
Right.
And I want to go to the men's thing, and I want to be part of the men's group enough to, I'll sign up to be in the text chain or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to reach that either way.
Yeah.
What's the way that I guess it's just, I'm all about improving the way we communicate with our family, because right now, because we've come up in little different ways, right? Everything is just kind of like, it works, but it's fairly broken in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got this tool here that like,
Yeah. See, and I'm all about that. Hey, let's like synergize, big word, buzzword, synergize and like leverage a bigger app instead of all these like different fractured things, so they can all work together. You can communicate a lot better. I'm totally with you on that.
yeah.
Yeah. For this whole app thing, like I'll get back maybe kind of to the root question For me, it's what's different between the app and the website, which, we kind of talked about, like if you are a member, let's just general term here, member, partner, whatever you want to call it. I can see that, but then it's like just what content is different or how is it different? Mm-hmm. The big thing for me, and like Brady kind of mentioned it, and I think it's just literally, you've got your pastor on stage. What are you asking them to say? Oh yeah, download our app or on our website. That's where I'm just like one stop, like just put all your eggs in that one basket, and that's where I am with Brady on that.
Yeah,
is man, you also have to think about like who the lowest common denominator, who can get where, and right now everybody can get on a website.
Path of least resistance.
Right, exactly.
So I think that's where his next point that he brings up in the podcast like really hits me is when he talks about the giving side of things. Because I was like, no, I can give in my app. And so like I pulled open our church app and hit give, and it's like, boom. What did it do? It opened the Safari page and brought me to the website. Yep. And I understand that they do that, because Caleb, me and you talked about this. They do that so that Apple doesn't take a cut on top of their card processor.
15%.
Yeah.
Up to 30%, by the way, depending on your status in the App Store. During your first year of having like transactions in your app, it's 30%.
Which is huge.
And
that's massive.
And you then you don't get to have a developer account for free anymore, no matter your tax exempt status or not. You have to start paying for the dev account.
So really, you should use PCO with the text to give, and then have that just open up your text dialog to the correct number to put in the amount that you want to give.
Yeah, so I mean,
so many options.
I'm just saying because again, when we talk about how many clicks you have. If you're, especially this day and age, when they're saying, hey, if this opens another window, or if it says to download attachment, or it doesn't, don't do it, because you're going to get malware, or you're going to get you're hacked, you're going to get this, and it's all over the news. Like, which I don't understand why my children's school sends their newsletter as an attachment when they're also educating their kids at the same time not to open these things. Yeah. So click this link to view what's happening at the school. My computer is blowing up.
Click the link to view this attachment about how attachments are bad.
Precisely.
That's 100% how it happens, though.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Right. But that's you leaving, it's leaving you and leading you into another platform, and a lot of people will fall off at that point. So how many people then would click on that and go, maybe I don't want to do this?
Yeah. And I'll be straight with you. I'm not interested in downloading more apps.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have more space on my phone. I don't like giving my info out, and I'm just not going to download that stuff.
Yeah.
So do we have a rule that we all have to agree,
I'm done with
No,
I think this is open discussion. Well, here's the thing.
Well, and because at this point, like, I'm kind of changing my mind over here. So I have since I was initially upset about this. Like, I don't know.
Which I feel is what I have with Brady all the time. I hear something and I get super upset, and I'm like, "You're an idiot!" And then I listen to it and start having a conversation, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah. You're right.
So Brady, if you're listening to this,
I think where my agreement with him ends is that you shouldn't be putting a bunch of extra resources or really any extra time into developing an app.
And I think that's what I was going to say.
And my app takes me, like, if I want to, like, I've been changing stuff while we've been sitting here podcasting. Like, I'm trying to get the YouTube thing to work.
That's why the camera's not switching properly.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, the black one.
The one
over there. Hi. Yeah, like I don't really have to spend it, and I don't know. Exactly. It's a tool. It's there. There's some people that will be like, cool. I'll download an app. Sure, why not? And then there's Jordan who would just rather view it on the website in Safari and Chrome, whatever. Cool. That's also there for you. And then honestly, you get away from, like, if you want to do your giving, it's all just right there. You stay in Safari or whatever, right? So
and I think that if we go down that path, and I think his whole thing of like, go to the website, having the website laid out in a functional way that, like, because there's nothing worse than getting on a bad website.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I feel like I have to like click 17 times to get places.
Yeah.
Like my kid's school website is that way. Like trying to figure out where events pages are and all those kind of things. It's like in a container that's in in another menu that doesn't make sense why it's there. And I'm literally like, do you guys have an event
in an
page?
email attachment?
Yeah. And I have to go and do a smoke signal,
Right.
and then the tongues is my first
feathered
language.
animal.
A carrier pigeon comes, gives me a code, then I can get into the website to get the events. Type thought process.
That sounds sounds like putting a vlog on the GH5.
It totally is.
That one.
Yeah, words and stuff.
I have no idea what it was.
Birds.
Words.
Hey, this is a tech podcast. We're allowed to talk tech things. It's not.
I have to say that
conversation with our wives.
I have agreements with both sides of it, and I I don't know what you call it here, devil's advocate. I'll play that too. Like, okay, so why do you think that? Because there's this, there's that, there's the other thing. To me, a church app is great if it accesses geolocation, you have geo tags on things, and you get into the church building, and bloop, up pops the announcements. Guess what? Sayonara video announcements. What a waste of time. What a commercial break in the middle of service. Hi, the Spirit's really moving, and commercial break. No, screw that stuff. Get it out of there. Announcements popped up on your phone. You were able to watch it because you walked in there. You walk in through the doors to the sanctuary, and if you're a church that does hymn stuff, it pulls up the hymns you're doing that day, or it pulls up the songs that you're going to be doing. And
This sounds expensive.
you know what?
Sounds like
He just
6
said
figures.
he doesn't agree with not putting extra resources into it. But a lot of this stuff, so like the apps that you guys, that you're working with, you're able to easily work with it because it's a WYSIWYG web GUI. You can do what you need to make that happen. But if you're talking about wanting to do something that really, of that nature, yeah, you probably are looking at like a 6-figure build on something to have something that unique.
Does anyone even know what the church home app looks like? Jordan, can you download that real quick? And
The
tell me what it
church
looks
home
like?
app?
Yeah.
For what platform is that?
Don't do it, it's a trap.
It's
Yes,
church-
he's trying to get me to download an app.
Church Home is the one that he was
I'm
talking
going to
about.
download an app, people.
Oh,
Church
you
Home is the one that he was talking
I
about
asked
that
the
they
one
spent
person that said he
6
didn't
figures
want any
on.
more apps.
And I'm going to delete this later. So just so we know.
I've done that plenty of times.
Is that Judas Smith's church, or is that
No idea.
what's his name? I can see his face. I think it's Judah. I think it's Judah.
This
The
particular mic is
belonging?
really quiet.
No.
This mic is so quiet. You gotta yell into it to hear it.
Let's see here.
Yeah, you were right. This mic is very
Sorry.
quiet. You were here last month.
Maybe-
at this.
Now I got to tell them
they
about
can.
myself here. Entering actual information.
Oh my gosh.
They don't have sign in with Apple?
No.
That's okay. Mine doesn't either.
I'm about to give up. I'm on this podcast. I'm about to give up on this.
Oh, the gain on this microphone is at 26. Oh, the rest of us are at 32.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Now you're at 32.
hey, all right.
Say I'm in Louisiana.
So I don't have to yell.
Spell it.
Yep, you're good now.
What?
The thing is you said it like this, and I said it like this, so I took it more seriously.
Well, no, there's not a knob for me to turn you up in your headphones. I wasn't thinking about the gain. I don't know why that gain would randomly be at different volumes.
I'm getting more questions here.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder if
They
it's.
need to know where it
What
was.
page,
now.
what page number are you on?
This was there.
This is
Yeah.
3. Help us to best serve you. We'd love to know what are these goals that will be more helpful to you right now. Feel less anxious, more confident, overcome pain, develop gratitude.
This app
improve
is making
relation,
me
find
feel
purpose.
anxious.
Yeah, we'll do.
Well,
just a
and
link
so
then.
okay, so this is actually pretty cool because this is what I was thinking about. Is
No,
like
I don't need a reminder.
I think it depends.
Now
on,
it still wants me to sign in.
Oh my god.
but it lets you sign in with Google now.
Yeah, and Facebook and Apple.
and Apple.
What I was gonna say is I think it depends again on your community and what your community is going to use it for.
Totally.
And with that,
Totally.
it seems like they're trying. Like, there's a pastor that I watch, and he's a deliverance pastor. He travels around helping people get delivered from demons, stuff like
Stuff
that.
they need deliverance from.
And he's like, the biggest problem that he's always seen is that like when he goes to this crusade and he's praying for people, and there's people having, it's obviously, there's like a couple thousand people, like 2 or 3 of them may get a demon cast out of them. He's like, the worst thing is for them to never be followed up with.
Yep.
So he has an app that he tries to get them to download so that his staff can communicate with them,
Awesome.
follow up with them. And so it's like he may be at this event in Texas and he lives in New York City. His staff is like, hey, you met Pastor blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
How can we be praying for you? Like, let us know if there's problems so we can help you through things. And he's like, that way there's like some sort of connection. In that scenario, his church app totally makes sense. And I love that thought process.
Yeah.
if our community isn't going to use it, like, because I love the idea of prayer app, because like, I went on this thing called Quest. Sorry. And all of the guys that I quested with, we all have a chat on WhatsApp. And so it's like when we're going through stuff, like we're throwing out prayer requests. Guys, I'm struggling with this. Can you pray for this? Hey, I found this scripture. It was super cool. I thought it would encourage you guys. Like those type of things are awesome. And I would love to have something that's similar to that for our church body. That gets a little harder when you're at churches of like 6,000, 7,000 people, because that gets, kind of chaotic, and how do you kind of like manage that? But like for smaller churches, that's the thing, is like 85% of churches in America are under 500 people. And so it's like, and of that 80%, I think 60% of that 80% is under 250 people. So it's like a majority of churches could handle, of 250 people, probably like 100 of them, maybe if you're lucky, would get on an app for like prayer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's a lot more manageable to do. So I don't know. I think it depends on the community too, and if the app offers that. But
and I feel like we say that on every episode, is it depends on your community, but like it just
because
totally
everything
does.
is community driven.
It's so true.
Right. It's just if you have a bunch of young like professionals, then an app might be the best thing for you. But if it's like people that don't even have smartphones, heads up, don't do an app.
Yeah.
So it like, I know it's not a get out of jail free card for us, but it's just, that's what it always comes down to.
Yeah.
So
I think it's that, your community, and with everything, pray about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because is it the best use of resources for your church? Well, we can't be the judge of that specifically, because we don't know your church and your community and their needs.
And what else those monies could go towards.
Yeah.
I will say, if you're a church of 100 people, maybe not spend $100,000 on an app.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
Probably not the best
sounds
option.
like a bad idea.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Caleb, have we changed your mind?
No, not really at all. Just a little bit.
You just want.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that kind of stuff a little bit, just to see everybody felt.
I think it's useful, and it's also not useful.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're using it for, right?
And this is also too where it's like I love churches and I love church leaders, but sometimes it is just kind of like a spray and pray, like, hey, let's just do it all, and because we can. And like, does that work? Yeah, sometimes it does work, but sometimes I think we just need some strategy. And hey, wait, we're putting a lot of resources into it for not a lot of fruit. So
prayer and supplication. I think the idea of like just I've seen that so many times. I know what you're talking about. I've seen that happen so many times, and I've seen a lot of money spent in a lot of
and like at small churches and big churches.
Yeah, all across the board.
Yeah,
they're like, this thing is happening. We need to jump on it. Okay. I had said in a previous podcast about like, don't look at YouTube like TV and shun from it, and then try to catch up later. Okay, on social media and things like that. But you also don't need to just jump on the first thing that comes out. But you do need to pray about it. I think, that's a big thing, because we're to be stewards of this money that is coming in, and it is to go to further his kingdom. And if in your situation, this app is going to help with that, because it's going to keep people, it's that centralized location for
like that
all
communication,
like that kind of thing. Or, I can come in and I don't got to print out all these bulletins. I think it's too for like churches that are maybe in mobile scenarios where they're not having to run to whatever print stuff. Now I don't print anything anymore. Is it Kinko still around? Is that still
Staples?
FedEx Kinkos,
FedEx Kinkos.
They've kind of merged with like FedEx and
it's all one thing now.
FedEx bought them.
Jeez, shows what I know. I work with major printing companies, but like not.
Print local is what Sean's trying to say.
Yeah, print local. Just look at it on your phone, because if you've got an app, you don't need to print it, right? You just got your announcements there. Do you guys put the announcements in there and stuff like that, or
ish?
Working on that,
by the end of the podcast,
but it'll be in there. Just a couple more keystrokes. Here we go, folks, and
3 lines of code, and we got it.
Moving on. I want to talk about how to handle that guy in your church.
But first, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure
download
you
our app.
Make sure you
put in all your impertinent.
or visit our website.
Subscribe and like to the podcast wherever you listen to it. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and do all that cool stuff. Go ahead and just hit that like button, caress that bell for me. And
Caress.
if you're listening to
Love
the
That
audio
might be our new
podcast,
thing.
if you're listening to the audio podcast, on Apple, Spotify, my personal favorite, Overcast, go ahead and take a minute and give us a 5-star review. We don't accept anything less than 5 stars. I'm going to steal that from my friend Dave Tobias.
Oh yeah.
Shouts out, Dave. We don't take anything less than 5 stars because we know you love this.
I'll delete anything under a
thank you very
5-star
much.
review.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
You can pin it. Hey, and if you comment and leave us your information, we will mail you a bulletin.
and a CD or
A
cassette
CD or a
tape.
cassette tape
And or cassette.
of any service of your choice.
We're working on Betamax right now.
Oh, perfect.
So thank you for doing that.
Do we have a trivia question, Jordan? Did you come up with one?
Yeah, what's our trivia question for this week, Jordan? For this episode,
I had a really lame one.
No, do it.
Don't just do it.
Just do it. It's not tech related.
This is not tech related. Yeah, it's kind of scientific. But
Technically,
when birds are flying south or north or whatever, why is one line longer than the other? One side of the V longer than the other?
All right, don't answer. Don't answer.
Yeah, think about it.
Oh.
Think about it.
Okay.
We'll share the answer here at the
Caleb,
end.
you were like about to shout out the answer.
I was ready to go.
I could see it in your eyes.
he's a major fowl hunter, so
Yep.
So how to handle that guy?
who are we a bunch
And I'm
of
not
those
talking
guys
about that
here?
guy.
Should we give him a name or her a name or
No,
like a
I
Karen?
think that.
Them?
I think that guy
Them?
like.
No.
That guy?
Mainly two. There's two of that they that we are talking about. I want to be inclusive. That they. One is the persons who like don't listen to maybe somebody that's on their staff, maybe like kind of qualified, who's in a position. Let's say you are the audio guy, you're the lighting guy, whatever. You're asking for new gear that you think like, hey, I've got this need, whatever. And then you bring that to your pastor or whoever this person is, and they then turn around and like go to an outside source, another tech company, another church, maybe another pastor, a deacon, something, and just like somebody, an outside source who's not there really to know exactly what's going on in your situation. And just doesn't listen to anything that you said and only listen like, well, they said that they don't use this, they don't blah, blah, blah. And then the flip side of that, how do you work with someone who like, you're a tech person, you're like, hey, we need a new sound system, or I think we need to do something about our lights, but we don't really know, like, I don't really know. And nobody wants to talk to anybody on the outside. And I think we brought this up on the last episode or 2 episodes ago of just like that feeling that churches have that bad taste in their mouth of being burned by tech companies in the past. I think that's maybe where this question came from, if I remember right. It was just like, how do you work with somebody in your congregation that doesn't see the need to go outside of your church for technical expertise, right?
Yeah.
So
I think
how do you
on
deal
the-
with either side of that?
Yeah, I think on the first one, I've experienced that a lot where like I've had a client where they go, I've been saying this for years that we need to do this. And then like my pastor goes to a conference and hears someone say it. And then he comes back with this great idea that we need to do this. And I'm like, bro, I've been saying this for 3 years, like type thing. You're never going to get over that. That's always going to be a thing.
Nope, I'm with you.
I mean, it was said of
With you.
Christ, right? A prophet is not without honor except in his own home. So, like, here you are in your home church. Not that all tech people are prophets, but I'm just saying.
But some of you are.
Some of you are. And I mean, I don't know your particular giftings, but
Maybe I should say yes.
Yep.
But I mean, how do you deal with that? I mean, I think is the question, right?
Yeah,
because
like-
it's going to happen, at some point in time. One of those things.
It comes with the familiarity, because I've watched it happen where coming in and being a new guy and them taking every suggestion, and then you kind of hit a certain gear point, and all of a sudden they don't take your advice, and then the next guy, they take all of that person's advice, or they only take the outside person's advice. And is that a healthy thing? No, it absolutely is not. But it is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of human
Yeah.
a little bit. Like
It is.
it's
Yeah.
it's like Yeah, what you're saying, like you can be the new person and they're taking all of your thing, and then there's new shiny whatever. There's the next person who's got ideas and like.
Because
like,
how would you know
already know
anything
how you
outside
think,
of what
right?
you've told us now? Because you've been here,
Right.
You know, especially in the church world, because it can be and is in a lot of times is a bubble. Let's just be honest about it. Okay,
100%.
It's a bit of a bubble, and so once you've come in and you've been a professional church worker, I guess you want to call it that. You know, you've been there long enough. It's like, okay, we need updates on something tech related because that's the easiest thing for me to relate to. You know, video equipment or something of that nature, and we can't really take this guy's word for it because now he's been in the bubble for enough years. How does he even know what's new and what's out there? Mm-hmm. Now, you know, these days it's kind of hard to say how could somebody not know because like YouTube, right?
Yeah.
YouTube and research. I know all of us here at this table are always keeping up on stuff, but that's just not how it's viewed. You know, like, no, you've been in here. You're too close to us. I've heard you joke about stuff before. I can't really take you seriously. I got to ask somebody else.
Yeah.
But that really all comes down to like just kind of like trust and like you said, that building that relationship. I mean, really, like, you know, if you're listening to this and you work for a church and you're not having a serious dialogue about where your systems are, how you're doing just work-wise with your either senior leadership or your direct manager or something like that, like, you need to be having that. You need to put it on a calendar.
Yeah.
They need to
Amen.
know, like, you know, hey, in 5 years, we need a new PA. They're not going to come off that money in 5 months. Mm-hmm. That's a longer conversation. Hey, we need to start shopping this around. We need to start talking to AVL installers.
That's your like attrition calendar, right? Like it's, hey, this is going to go bad in X amount of years. Like
I would encourage
a
people
lifespan.
Yeah, I mean, because the other thing too is like, all right, hey, we need a new PA. We need a new LED wall. Guess what? The pastor's also aware, like, hey, we need a new roof. We need a new parking lot. Like,
Don't even get me started with new parking lots.
right. But it's you cannot. You gotta be. You gotta.
I know a guy that does asphalt. If you want to talk to him, so.
And PAs.
Sure.
We'll get you an email address in the show notes.
I will do anything for money,
Yep.
but I won't do that.
He does external line. Dang it.
From last month's
External line
return.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Dang it.
There's probably one of those in asphalt. Yeah.
Probably.
But no, you gotta start talking to them about this stuff. I think the other thing too is, you know, sometimes a pastor or leader will go away and hear it a different way. And I think, Justin, you've had some experience with this. Like, you need to help them understand. Like, if the way you're telling it to them, like maybe a very technical way, you need to maybe break it down, make an analogy, find out how that leader maybe hears better, or can receive it better. Because that's the job of the communicators, to make sure that they receive the message.
So an example of that I have is the church that I used to work at. We had a pastor that was pretty fickle. You know, not a lot of people really liked working with him. You know,
there's churches never have any of those.
in our graphics department was very much like the guy that was in charge of creating his graphics was like hated doing it because he's like they're boring, they're stupid, all these kind of things. And I was like, well, how are you doing this? Sorry, I'm like burping all of a sudden. Sorry. And
Freebie.
he's like, well, I just kind of, you know, I create like 7 or 8 different like rough drafts and then just say like, which one do you like? But he always picks the ones that I hate. And I was like, then stop giving him those options. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, don't give him 7 or 8 options. Come to him with, you know, be prepared with your 7 options and come to him and go, here's the option that I really like. And have him go, yeah, I don't really like that one. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Here's the next one that I really like. Oh yeah, okay. I don't mind that one. Could we maybe change a couple things on this one? And I was like, you'll start to be able to create the graphics that you like to make instead of giving him 7 options and knowing that he's going to pick one that you hate doing. Like you're setting yourself up to hate what you're doing. And so the next week he came back and he was like, bro, that worked. And I was like,
there you go.
Just don't give him the option of picking it, you know? So, yeah. And I think that like what you're saying is like being able to like understand that. Like I've seen so many people that are like, well, I don't think we need an LED wall. And then they go to the Seeds conference and then they come back and they're like, we need an LED wall.
Because they saw it maybe used in an appropriate way.
Right.
Yep.
They didn't really understand it. Now they understand it.
They got to see
or they even just saw one. Like maybe you need to bring your leadership out and be like, hey, this is an LED wall. Hey, this is this PA. Hey, this is a subwoofer.
Yeah.
This is, I like that one. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
That's the subwoofer. That's what we need.
Yeah, we don't
We
have
actually
that.
say
We
that
don't
that's
have
the Spirit of God.
That's,
moving in that
that's a
box.
Holy Spirit amplification box.
Nobody gets
and,
saved without bass.
That's right.
Hashtag crank that bass.
All about that bass. I think that it depends on the tone that's being used as well, right? Because there's the guy that doesn't want to listen, but then there's the guy that's just sick of hearing you complain.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're coming in all the time, you're like, oh, the system sucks. It's total garbage. It's crap. We need, and I'm using some great words here, right? Sucks, crap, garbage. Like,
Descriptive.
and you're just like, yeah, you're berating, either, I don't know if you do that to equipment, but you're just really just deprecative of everything around you and the situation and the stuff that you're in, and we need this and we need that, and well, these people have that, so now all of a sudden it's kind of that envious guy talk, like, well, such and such a church has it and we need it too.
Yeah.
Everybody's heard that guy before, right? Yeah. Like, why don't we have it? Why don't we do it?
If Elevation can do it, why can't we do it? Well, we have 35 people in our congregation.
Yeah,
30, and they have 35,000.
right. Yeah, there's a small
short.
margin here, but I think we could still
short.
pull it off. But I think it's in the heart too. Like, what is your heart behind presenting the need?
Yep.
And if you can present the need and the solution and how the solution lines up with the heart and the vision
Yep.
of the church,
Alignment.
I think that to me is the best way. And then to say, and if you'd like me to, I'll try to find a demonstration of this that I can show it to you. Yeah.
It seems like it comes down to take it all down to like two things, because it's always two things with me, is like communication and then community. Again, we're talking about, it kind of comes back to community. You need to, kind of like you said, like if you're trying to explain something to somebody and they don't understand you, that's your fault, not theirs to a certain extent, right? So you need to find
And
a
that's
way.
not to say that you can't be in that
No.
moment and go, okay, pause, hang on, okay, let me think about how I can make
My
this make more
therapist
sense.
just said that to me today. Like, maybe try doing that instead of just. Anyways, you guys don't get my therapy for free. I pay for it, so you can too.
There you go.
GoFundMe at the bottom.
But like, you need to like take a step back, whatever. Like you were just saying, if you're always coming at it as like complaining, find a way to reframe it, bring it into this is how it's going to impact our impact on the kingdom of God, or what, bring it in line with your church's values. But then also like, I think kind of tying back into how do you like either gain credibility for yourself, or how do you give outside knowledgeable people credibility? It's all about creating the relationship with the person that you need to work with. You need to like find a way to be on common ground, find a way to like work with each other.
And I would say for that, to be on the same page, you're going to have to look at yourself and go, okay, why is my pastor not trusting me? Why do I not have any sort of like authority in his mind? And that may be because you told him that he needed the $800 DPA mic, and
that'll solve the feedback.
And it'll solve the feedback, and it made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That one thing, or maybe that was the first thing, and then the next thing was, oh yeah, well, if we just buy another light and do this, it'll fix that problem for the video.
Yep.
And it didn't fix it, or it made it worse. Or
it could be that
Look
you
for a new
don't
line
show
of
up
work,
on time
buddy.
on Sunday morning.
It's over for you.
yeah,
or you're not prepared.
right. And and I think that's a good point, Jordan, because like it's not always going to be tech related.
Yep.
Like you're consistently 20 minutes late every single time, and that drives me crazy, because if I'm not early, I'm late, and because that's how I feel as your leader, and you don't do it, that makes me not trust you. And that trust, because of that instance, is now trickling into all of the other trust aspects. And that may suck that that's the case, because that personally, that probably shouldn't affect that. But the reality is it does. And you have to understand that. And like for me and you, like when we were working, where people are like, well, good luck figuring out how so-and-so like communicates. And I'm like, well, But the thing is, like, everyone communicates in a specific way, and they repeat, well, yeah, that person always does blank. And I'm like, right, which means that you can figure out how they communicate because they always do that thing.
Yep.
They always
Creatures of
talk
habit, man.
Right. We all do it. You know, so yeah, I think, yeah, for me, my two things is it comes down to trust and vision. Mm-hmm. And that's been a theme that I've had on the YouTube channel for forever is cast vision so that it can line up with everything. Because again, and that comes from leadership too. How many churches don't cast vision? And then how am I supposed to align with you if I don't know what your vision is? Oh, go make disciples of all the nations. Well, yeah, but how are we going to do that? What is our version of doing that?
Well, just go do it.
What's the plan of attack? No, don't attack them. Make them into disciples. Oh, that's how the crusades
Marketing.
happened. Bad communication here, folks.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just like it takes another person saying, okay, well, because sometimes that's the pastor going to the conference and going, oh my gosh, like my guy's been saying this for 3 years, and now Lou Giglio's up here telling me I should do it.
And so really quick,
Sorry, I had to throw his name out.
It makes me giggle.
I'm so glad we have that on a drop now. No, but so that's even an interesting thing too. Is that I think that's also how you can leverage outside people. Yeah. Is if you know what they're going to say, bringing them into leadership, bringing them into that conversation, and then you're not saying it. Mm. Now you've got a professional saying it, or somebody else from the congregation, or whoever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you gone to a client and they're like, all right, so I've been trying to tell my leadership this and they just won't listen to me, but like it makes sense. And then I'm like, okay, cool. You're like, let's talk about this before we go talk to pastor. And it's like, yeah, I'm totally on board. I understand what you're saying. We definitely need to do that. And then I go and say, yeah, so, this, that, and the other thing. And then the pastor's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then they're all like, what? I'm like, well, why are you upset about this? This is the very reason you brought me in.
Exactly. Exactly. At the end of the day,
I hate you.
You're getting that upgrade potentially, or what you need, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. You look like you might have more to say than that.
Here's what I was thinking is that every once in a while, the problem really isn't you.
Right.
And that's harder to I think understand, because you can sit there and beat yourself up all the time, or come on, what am I not doing? I'm not getting through to them. I'm not. But it might not be you. It might be that person. It could be the person, your predecessor. May have made a hard path for you to walk, and you can't. Definitely. You don't have this open line of communication because there has to be trust won back, not for you as a person, but for that position.
But for tech people in general.
For tech people in general. There you go. Yeah. For the tape.
For the brotherhood.
For cassette ministry.
Hasn't been around for 25 years, but we still have to recover from it.
Yeah, and that one's a little more tough, and maybe that takes but setting up that time to speak with that leader, and just kind of like, hey, and always expressing that you come from a place of still serving that vision and having a heart for being there and for to work with that leader, because the last thing you want to do is set yourself in a place where you appear to be adverse to the leader, all the time, because if the issue has been with that, it's just that issue is going to be perpetuated. It's just going to get worse. It's going to snowball. So then the next person come in and take your place. They're like, we need a tech guy, but we never trust our tech guys.
Yeah.
And
what would you suggest? If you came in behind someone who broke all the trust, they spent tons and tons of money, and pastor finds out that, oh my gosh, you're telling me we didn't need the Digico SD9 for our congregation of 45 people.
All right, so funny enough, I had this exact situation happen.
But okay, so you're now the tech person that comes in behind that person, because they realize this, and then there's obviously that head clashing.
Yeah.
How do you realize that, okay, this isn't because of me, I haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
At least to deserve this. Now I have to go and correct this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have that conversation?
Yeah. So I've been in this situation, and in a couple of different scenarios, but from like this like church tech side of things. I came into a situation where the tech had, they installed a lot of really expensive stuff, and that's great. So first I go in and I go to check it out. I'm like, wow, I get to work with this console and these speakers and everything. Can't wait to enjoy a service and see what their platform is like, what kind of worship they do and everything. And I'm looking up at these Apogee 7s and hearing the worship and going, wow, this isn't the right setup for this application. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Oh, they have oh, no, that's not right either. Oh, no. Everything was expensive. Okay. Everything cost a lot, but nothing was the correct thing for the space that they were in. This was a fan sanctuary, just to, everybody knows those, right? It's a big fan. Basically, just take your square building and put the stage in the corner. And so I didn't want to go in and be that guy that was just like, all right, well,
that guy.
I didn't want to be that guy, right?
That other guy?
Yeah. And it was already put forward to me. So after this, I went down and I'm finishing out my interview, because this is before I even take the position.
Okay. Yeah.
And the person interviewing me did say, so the pastors already feel like they've been tricked into spending a lot of money. I was like, okay. Yep, I was already getting that, like
I knew that when I walked in the booth.
I knew that when I walked in the door. I said, all right. So here's my plan. I am going to do the absolute best that I can to make what we have work until it just won't work anymore, and we have to do something about it. But we'll put down in writing now that I do understand that this stuff really isn't what fits the bill. And so constantly just, like being a gaffer on a film set, just inventing ways of doing things and hooking things up differently and rerouting this, and then building our own subwoofers to compensate for the fact that they put in the wrong kind, and doing all the stuff that we could until it finally got to the point where it was like, okay, look, we've reached the end of it. And at that point, the pastors were like, okay. Yep. All right.
Because you were able to share with them, hey, I've exhausted all these other no-cost, low-cost options.
Yeah. And we lasted a couple of years on that, which was longer than I kind of thought we were going to get out of it. We had drivers shoot out of boxes and things like that, but whatever. The funny thing is too, actually, the service that I went to visit, nothing was coming out of the mains. Everything was coming out of floor wedges. So when I went up there to guest mix for the second round of the interview, and I actually put stuff in the mains, oh man, they're like, yeah, hire this guy, hire him. It sounds so much better.
So this was in Jersey.
Yeah, so it was in Jersey. Obviously.
Hire this guy.
But I think that's interesting that you
Get
were
him
even
a sandwich. Would you look at it? Jeez.
Oh man, God, I could use a sandwich right now.
So can I. Why are we talking about food again? I'm so hungry.
We should just do food on this.
We should just.
We need like a catering sponsor.
Isn't there something about breaking bread together that would? Isn't that?
You just want to get a loaf of bread and eat?
Oh, but it's got to be gluten free for me. Darn it.
And then wine too.
Off the rails. Off the rails.
No, but I think it's kind of interesting though that you even mentioned that that might even come out in the hiring process. Mm-hmm. So this is not like, hey, I'm finding this out in the first month or 2 or 6 months. You can even ask those questions like, hey, why is this vacant? What were some of the issues with the previous guy or gal? And
yep.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
When I met the integrators that put the system in, and I just called them integrators, they were installers. The people that sold it and put it in, they weren't true integrators.
Wearing really nice suits.
Yeah. When I met them, I wanted to slap them around at first because I was like, how isn't your job also to kind of help shape this type of thing and help,
that only goes
church
so far
to understand?
Yep.
Yeah, it is true. I do understand. Some people are like, no, I want that because it's more expensive, so it's better.
Yep.
But
that's what I saw Elevation do, so I have to have it.
I got to have it.
Yeah. I mean, to answer your question, Justin, what does that conversation look like? I don't even know if it's a conversation. I think you just got shown by action. And it's routinely and showing them how you operate and who you are. And then also probably just a lot of listening, honestly.
The reason why I ask, what's that conversation is because, I've been in situations where like the leadership doesn't even realize that they're like holding that grudge against you. And it's like, hey, listen, like I've shown you repeatedly that like I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to do this.
Yeah.
You've hired me. You either need to trust me to do the job that I've done, or you need to like tell me that you don't trust me and I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And like have that conversation. And I've had that conversation, which is a little bit different, you know, because it's like I've been there for a long time, and some of the other people had, you know, pitched things like, oh, well, we want this. Okay, cool. Do we need it? Because we don't have tons of cash, you know, but we'll replace something or fix it if we need to. And it's like, well, we need it. But why? Because we need it. And then that comes across like you just want a new toy, you know?
Right.
And then it's like I come in behind that person and I'm like, oh no, this is broken. This is broken. You remember that thing that we had that problem with? Yeah, that's because this was broken. And I can replace this so this main thing works, but then this other small things won't work. Well, what's it going to cost to fix it all? Well, I didn't think we had the money to fix everything. Well, if it's going to, we want everything to function. It's like, well, it's going to cost this. And they're like, okay, well, let's just do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I explained the actual like reasonings.
I was around to watch that happen. I watched a lot of Jaws hit the floor when he just got the okay for it, for explaining it that way. And everybody be like,
We've been trying to do that for 3 years.
what?
But it was like a lot. It took a lot of explanation and a lot of legwork and a lot of like, you know, I came in with, hey, I want this. This is what I want. This is what I need. And like I came in expecting part of it, prepared to pitch the whole thing, you know, and then was able to go like, okay, well, this is what I need. I really need this because this is the important thing. The other thing, it would suck if we lose it, but we can deal without it. And then their response was, well, what is it going to take to do that? You know, now that you've explained this all, because we don't want to lose that either. Well, this is what it would do, and this is actually what it would do to the physical space. It's going to change it. It's going to make it look all different and that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I think having that conversation is going to be important because the last thing that I want is, you know, you get a lot of grumblers, you know.
Yep.
No, just never let me do anything. Just never let me do anything.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're, you know, like, that's not a joyful heart.
Yeah.
You know, that's not, you know, any of those, you know, fruits of the spirit, you know, is, yeah. Well, they get money all the time, you know, like, why do we need to pave the parking lot again for the 4th time in 6 years? You know, because I've also been a part of that too.
Oh, darn. We have 10,000 cars coming through here every weekend. It's just really, gosh, I wish people just wouldn't come here and park on our parking lot.
Yeah.
If you got my live stream stuff, they wouldn't have to.
I know, right?
Nice.
There's a win-win here. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to have us guess at that trivia question now.
Okay.
I gotta know.
You've been Googling it?
Go ahead, and you've been sitting here next to me. Have I Googled it?
No, you haven't.
Yeah, no.
Sean,
cool.
do you know the answer?
Yeah. So let's state the trivia question again, Jordan. What?
So the question is, why when like ducks are migrating and they're in a V, why is one side longer than the other?
I know because he told me.
Oh,
Is this a joke?
I have a guess.
No, it's a trivia question.
To get to the other side.
What's your guess?
My guess is that it has something to do with aerodynamics, and that like the longer side, those are the like they're switching in and out for rest periods basically, and the longer side is getting some kind of jet stream drag thing, or it could be a directional. Like I don't, yeah, no, I'm going to stick with my first one.
Well, because they do switch out that pole position, right? I mean,
P1,
I guess if you know what I'm talking about in racing. So like, yeah, they're switching out that pole position, so they're, you know, the one up front is getting the brunt of everything, and so everybody else is kind of like every bird back has less wind resistance.
Yeah. Drag.
Less drag. Thank you. Yeah, they still have wind
As if
resistance.
I just said that.
So Feel Good Drag by Amberwind, I think is the
yeah.
answer.
The answer is a way more complicated than all of that.
Yeah.
So the birds on the one side have more magnesium in their bills, and that causes them to wane.
Okay, stop it.
In one, I don't know. You said more complicated, so I'm just trying to.
I have one more guess. It's that they aren't real, and they're all just
They're all robot birds.
drones.
They're just dragging they're just dragging like a decoy.
It's just Amazon's new delivery system.
or
They do weird
China's
things with them to
China's
keep
balloon.
the government does weird things with them just to throw us off that they're not real. Because it's weird.
But then you make them imperfect, so it's like, oh well, that's not
Right.
the government.
Right.
That would be
Right.
the government.
All right, Jordan.
So the reason that they're uneven on sides and there's oftentimes they're just not symmetrical because there's an extra bird in there. There's one more bird.
That's why.
That's why they're not even because there's one more bird.
That is a freaking joke.
It's because birds can't. It's because birds can't count.
I can't even.
But
Seriously, 1, 3, 7. I can't.
But
even.
I think you were onto something with magnesium in the bill.
Yeah, you see, I'm pretty sure
that
that's
could be
real.
it as well. Yeah.
You guys can engineer this question. He's like drag aerodynamics.
Nope,
Just an extra bird.
I'm just going through all of my pilot study course
got
stuff.
called
Like,
out.
we never talked about this.
Just got called out.
I think that's
Man.
awesome.
Well, before we wrap this up, I want to one more time go ahead and tap on that like button. Give that bell just a nice little tap on the head for me, so you get those notifications. Like us on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify's, all that good stuff. Spotify is one of my 80. Hey, you listen to our show on the Spotify's there? Hey. Hey. Anyways,
actually not a bad Bill
You
Cosby
guys
impression.
on the interwebs or what? I'm hip.
hello.
I'm on TikTok.
Hello,
have
fellow
4 hips.
kids.
I'm on Musically. I mean TikTok.
Hello, fellow kids. So let's go around the room real quick. I want to start with Justin. What is something you are happy about?
A little bit ago, I figured out how to control a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera from a regular A10. Zoom, focus. It's pretty sweet.
Those were good days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good day.
That's exciting.
My good news actually just came in.
Again, I made a video about it, and it's on the YouTube channel, so go watch it.
Oh, shameless plug. My good news just came in. My wife said we're out of coffee. I know that sounds terrible, but that means I get to pick up something good. She asked if I could pick it up on the way home from the studio.
You said,
Yes.
boy, can I.
Sure can.
You don't like the Folgers?
Man,
I want to
here
see
I
something
come, Folgers.
really
Oh,
gets
gosh.
me going.
The worst part of waking up. Folgers anywhere.
You know,
Folgers.
I think Rod Stewart wrote that jingle, by the way.
Oh, goodness. I should ask him. He's a cousin, right?
I think he did the
Was this
Band-Aid
like a
song.
Kevin Bacon thing?
Part of waking up.
That's what they should have done though. Is have other celebrities and other singers do that.
Yeah, like they
And
do
just
with
do their
the
own.
Nationwide is on your side.
Mm-hmm.
They do that all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
They did.
Her just did one. Ring, ring, hitting it up on the.
That's what I'm saying. Have
acoustic
a
guitar.
bass player, electric player, do a metal version.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty neat.
That would wake you up.
Metal version.
The best part of waking up.
Oh man.
Folgers in your cup. Drink it, like it, love it.
I'm sorry. I'm done.
That 80 hertz roll off is just killing it right now. So
Yeah.
happy for that.
So it is March, which officially kicks off MotoGP and F1 season, which are kind of some of my big sports that I like to watch. So the season is here. Ignore that it's frozen and it's cold on the tracks, but the season, there's no more more waiting.
Have you seen any of the F1 2023 liveries yet?
Yeah,
seen any of the cars?
I dig the Mercedes.
Oh yeah, Mercedes.
Yeah,
Anybody?
the
You
black.
guys either? No.
I know a lot of
Oh, I
people
saw an
don't
article
like
on it,
the.
but-
We're gonna do our own little podcast here, the F1 podcast, really quick.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like the carbon fiber raw. I don't mind.
Oh, I think it looks incredible.
So-
Mercedes went from a all silver car to mostly bare black carbon fiber with just basically logo stickers for all their sponsors.
I dig that.
it looks.
It looks
cool.
amazing.
But then all the other teams, like Ferrari, gonna be a red one.
Yeah, Ferrari's red, but everybody went
Red Bull,
Yeah,
gonna be a red one.
But everybody
Or
else
not a
went
red one, but a
dark
blue one.
mode this year. Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, everybody went super dark greens, blues, whatever. It looks really great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the season of F1. Something I'm happy about. I've been really into this app called Audio Hijack lately by Rogue Amoeba. I'll put a link in there. You just need to check out Rogue Amoeba in general. All of their apps. But I use Loopback and Audio Hijack heavily.
I love Loopback.
Yeah, Loopback's really great. Audio Hijack, I've been recording shows with that, and then also just like messing around with different plugins and how they affect audio without having to have a full DAW open, which is kind of cool. So that's that. Thank you for watching, for listening. This is Enhance, Don't Distract.